I'm completely out on the Eagles as a Super Bowl contender. Out. Done. See you in 2024. I'm out. It's over. So the Eagles yesterday, Christmas Day, Lincoln Financial Field continued their long winning streak against the New York Giants, 133-25. And I am actually less impressed now with Philadelphia than I was before the game, and I wasn't terribly impressed before the game because of that terrible game-winning drive given up against Drew Lock. Now, I've been a big Jalen guy over the last year. I was very skeptical about Jalen at first. I know a lot of folks were like, oh, Jalen, that one outlier year. Guys, and I hate to play this card, but I got to because I have eyeballs and I watch the games. Jalen is hurt. Jalen is beat up. Jalen's been beat up. Now, that does not excuse that one throw he made when Adoree Jackson took it to the house. I know Dallas Goedert slipped, but that still wasn't a good decision by Jalen Goedert. And when I look back at the play, Goedert had slipped before Jalen had let go of the football. So in this split seconds, it's minuscule, but Jalen still should not have made that throw in that situation. Be that as it may, the dude's beat up. He is. I'm not making excuses. The guy is freaking hurt right now. By the way, he's still playing relatively well. Okay? Had a touchdown rushing, touchdown passing, 300 yards through the air. It's pretty good. Jalen's a pretty good quarterback, believe it or not. Eagles offense, love it. Love all of Philadelphia's offensive personnel. Love Jalen, love DeAndre Swift. He was excellent in that game yesterday against the New York Giants. Offensive line is amazing, maybe the best in football, either them or Detroit. A.J. Brown, when his head's in the game, is excellent. Devontae Smith's really good, and Dallas Goedert's a top 10 tight end. Love their offensive personnel. But I've been sounding this alarm from week one in that win against the New England Patriots. When Mac Jones threw for 300 yards against the Eagles, I'm like, ooh, this might not be the same Eagles defense it was a year ago. Jonathan Gannon is now with the Arizona Cardinals. Turns out that might actually be a much bigger loss than we gave it credit for coming in, because this Eagles defense is nothing short of atrocious. Tommy DeVito. Looks like his insanity runs over. But Tommy DeVito gets benched in this game, and here comes Tyrod Taylor. Now, Tyrod Taylor's been one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL. He has been, but I didn't think he was QBR of 77 good. I didn't think he was that good. And what is terribly concerning about Philadelphia, and it's one of the things that I gave them a lot of love for coming into this stretch run, even after the loss against San Francisco. I said, if there's one thing about Philadelphia, man, they're great situationally. I can't even say that about them now. Here's a fun stat, or not fun if you're an Eagles fan, fun if you don't like the Eagles like myself, but this is a list of the worst. I don't have the graphic on here for the screen, but I'll read it for you. The worst point differential of the worst point differential teams in the NFL in the final 2 minutes of halves this season. So first half, second half, last 2 minutes. And we know those are that's situational football at its peak. Worst point differential in those situations. The Giants are a -33. The Saints are a -35. The Chargers are a -36. The Bears are a -40. All of those teams are going to miss the playoffs. Again, Bears, second worst in the league, -40, -40. The Eagles are -65 in the last 2 minutes of halves this season. First half, second half. We know the defense is bad. And this is why when I saw the line, like Eagles -14, I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind if you take the Eagles to cover this spread. You're out of your mind. Sure, the offense is good. Sure, the Giants are floundering offensively. It seemed like every offensive league has its best performance when they face Philadelphia. Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good. If it's not for a couple of drops, a couple of questionable officiating calls against the Giants, they may win that game. We may be having a very different conversation about Philadelphia. So yeah, I think the Eagles have another loss in them. Whether it's to Arizona, whether it's to the Giants in Week 18, probably Tyrod Taylor starting at quarterback in that game as well. Maybe Tyrod Taylor gets benched for DeVito and he wins the game. Does this team look like a Super Bowl contender? We certainly see it last night, notwithstanding. We see it with San Francisco. That roster's awesome. We've seen it with Detroit, at least offensively. We've seen it with Dallas, at least from the quarterback position and their starting wide receiver. And at times, not much these days, but at times defensively. Heck, we see it with the Rams and the streak that they're on over the last month and a half. Can you tell me the last, let me shift it this way. Let me ask this question, Eagles fans. What does Philadelphia do very well? Not even great, very well, consistently. Brotherly shove. That's it. Now, by the way, I'm not as and I hate the Eagles. I'm not as anti-brotherly shove as everybody else is. My mindset is stop it. If you don't like it, stop it. Otherwise, quit crying, quit complaining, quit moaning. Okay, they're going to run it. This is miles away from being a Super Bowl team. Miles away from being a contender in any sense of the word. I fought back against this narrative for weeks. I did. But when new information presents itself, you got to shift your opinion. I'm not going to just stand on a point just for the sake of standing on a point if it ends up being very, very wrong. We have one team every single year, and my guy Barry Grant Jr., I want to give props to it too because he was the first one I heard say this. Barry Grant Jr., co-founder of the Grid, All Even podcast here in the Grid. Check his stuff out. But I heard Barry say this, that we have one team every year that wins double-digit games, makes the playoffs, hey, maybe wins their division. They're kind of frauds. 2020 Steelers, 2021 Cardinals, 2022 Minnesota Vikings. Add 2023 Philadelphia Eagles to that list. They're frauds. Love their quarterback. Love their offensive personnel. But there's a disconnect. Your quarterback's questioning guys' commitment last week. You have Devontae Smith saying this week, yeah, we're not playing that well. Devontae Smith, and I quote, said, we won 11 games, and I'm not happy. I don't like how we're playing. Nor should he, because they're not playing well. Offensively, they're fine. I again, love their pieces there. Defensively, they're atrocious. I mean, at some point, we are in week 16 going into week 17. The Eagles have played 15 football games. At some point, it's kind of who you are. They've tried to make a defensive coaching change to Matt Patricia. That hasn't worked. Maybe it's just the players aren't that good. Maybe Darius Slay is having a big-time down year, and more so is James Bradberry. Maybe there's a reason the Colts let go of Darius Leonard. Maybe there's a reason that the Titans traded Kevin Bynard. Love Philadelphia's defensive line. That's it. Linebacking core, and especially the secondary, is nothing short of atrocious. And by the way, again, they struggle to put games away. I mean, when the Giants were driving, and where were they down? 5 points at this particular juncture in the game? They're down 5 points, are the Giants. They're trying to drive down the field. They get stopped on 4th down. At this point, the score is, they score touchdowns 30-25, okay? Eagles have the ball with 5 minutes to go, and they're completely unable to drain the clock out against the Giants defense, which isn't very good against the run. And with a minute 10, Giants have the ball, a minute 10 to go. They drive it in, a minute and a half? Minute and 5 seconds, almost to Philadelphia's red zone with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback in that offensive line. But the Giants team that's won 5 games this season, and you expect me to call you a Super Bowl contender? I was in on Philly after that win against Buffalo. I was. I'm like, hey, not only are you winning close games, you're winning close games against really good football teams. Kansas City, Buffalo, Miami, Dallas. Got blown out against San Francisco, blown out against Dallas. Gave up a 92-yard game-winning drive to Drew Lock. And Tyrod Taylor almost beat you in the end. I mean, what are we talking about? Philadelphia has another loss in them. Now, the question is, will Dallas take care of their end of the bargain? If they do, Cowboys get the 2 seed. And Philadelphia is the 5 seed going to Tampa Bay, and they'll lose to Tampa Bay. It's that simple. Philadelphia, whatever the matchup is. If it's Seattle as a 2 seed, if it's the Rams as the 3 seed, definitely they'll absolutely lose to the Rams. And if they face Tampa as the 5 seed, the way Tampa's playing, the way Baker's cooking teams right now, cooking defenses, you're telling me Baker couldn't cook this Eagles defense? Out. Done. Over. Eagles are not Super Bowl contenders in any sense. Do they look like a Super Bowl contender? Again, I just talked about with Dallas. You want to be playing your best football at the end of the year. Is Philly? Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.